Dig it.
Slow drag with remedy. Slow drag. So why do I call it slow drag? Well, a slow drag is a very sexy type of dance, and it's also the part of a title of the song Slow Drag with Josephine from the encyclopedic 2010 National Ransom. There are many other dances referenced in the song, yet all are forsaken for the slow drag with a certain person. So, in short, slow drag seems to eloquently describe the mission statement of this podcast. There are many writers and poets I admire, but I'd trade them all for a line-by-line appreciation of a modern-day master's work. Slow drag, also referred to as a slow grind, conveys sensuality, closeness, and a certain verve of confidence to stand close to your partner in public, and with its trademarked, exaggerated hip twisting, push and pull each other slowly back and forth. Even the collocation of slow drag conjures sensual appeal in my mind. It's like slow jam, slow ride, and let's include slow gin, a sweet tart liqueur for fun, all sexy endeavors in one complicated libation. Slow gin, according to Sipsmith London, starts with berries that are, quote, notoriously tart and astringent. Berries that didn't always, as they say, enjoy the most elevated of reputations. Grown from the dense, spiny, and foreboding blackthorn shrub that doubled as excellent natural fencing, famously called hedgerows in the British countryside. Slow berries found an ingenious home, soaking at the bottom of a gin jar that helped them turn sweeter. This led to London's gin-crazed debauchery, we're told. And much like the slow drag dance, the slow berries that were used to make slow gin seem wholly unaware, or at least unconcerned, about their hardy body and magnetic origins. There are 41 years and roughly 700 songs or so between July 22nd, 1977 and October 12th, 2018. These are the dates of the releases of Elvis Costello's first and latest creations, respectively. Somewhere closer to the beginning of this time span, a song was written, arranged, and even recorded, yet failed to find a home until the 1995 re-release of the 1983 Punch the Clock. What a treasure trove those re-releases were. Much like the tart slowberry, perhaps the song Shatterproof needed time to sweeten up, or at least time to blunt its stinging aftertaste. Shatterproof is a thinly veiled 2-minute and 20-second complaint letter of domestic frustration that serves as an excellent historical reference point for today's slow drag. My name is Remedy, and this is an appreciation. This is an exploration of linguistics, language, writing, and clever wordplay as framed by the peerless poetry of the modern-day master, Elvis Costello. Today's slow drag is with Stripping Paper from Look Now, released in 2018. The songwriting is credited to Elvis Costello. It's a song with a catchy chorus that belies a deeper history of love, loss, and reflection. The seemingly clumsy line or two plays right into the hands of this master storyteller. There's something about love that allows us to dwell even when we believe we've moved on. I got time on my hands. I'm just stripping paper. It's amazing what you will find stripping paper when you get down to the past. This beautiful story starts in the present, quite innocently, to be sure, yet is quickly taken back in time to sweet and fleeting moments. Back then, we didn't have means for fine decorations, so we painted while mixing wine with flirtation. This is one of the intentionally clumsy lines I referred to, painted while mixing wine with flirtation. Strategic in its halting admission of leaner times and of the recounting of awkward manifestations of tipsy expressions of attraction. The description that follows is framed by this sense of nostalgia. There in the mess of it all, he took me right there in a thrill, not quite against my will, with my back to that rococo wall. We slipped right down to the floor. The Rococo period, distinguished by its ornate and asymmetrical style, is the perfect allusion to pin these lines to. There's something familiar about most new relationships. There's always too much trying, too much finite detail. There's always someone putting in more effort than the other. In some Rococo style and new love, both are overwrought and uneven. I kicked closed the door. He complimented my taste. I anointed his serious face with wallpaper paste. Notice the economy of words, the sexy double meanings, the vivid imagery of tipsy merriment, the lust and the aggression of it all. I truly hesitate to unpack this description further, given how streamlined the story unfolds in 4 lovely lines. It's enough to simply linger over the expansive mindscape it creates while we still can. I wish we could laugh like that now, but what seems to follow that ended up hollow was our vow. The sweet and fleeting moments detailed so deftly have themselves dissolved into inequity of emotions that eventually followed. Let's take a moment to inventory this story so far. As with so many of his pieces, this seems to be told from a woman's point of view. It's a story of remembering young love with all its trappings of infatuation and admiration. Too much has happened, though, as represented by the many layers of wallpaper. Too many attempts to smooth over all that has transpired since. This story is so streamlined. I wish we could laugh like that now. Brings the piece back to where it began, but then finds a way to break our hearts in an unexpected way. Here's a pony and a toy balloon behind a vine that withered all too soon. Here's the pencil of a measuring mark and a monster she spied in the dark. I can think of very few more bittersweet mementos from childhood that the horizontal lines and dates drawn on a doorframe provoke. As it marks progress, it also serves as a reminder of time that can never be reclaimed, of how the top line represents the transition from childhood into personhood, memories that can't be taken with you, so it makes it so much more difficult to leave behind. And the chilling potential double meaning of a monster in the dark is worth giving a second thought to. Now I've got no place in her heart. Let me go back to the start. So many layers, sparked by a metaphorical stripping away of wallpaper, going all the way back to the first layer, lingering long enough to remember the less giddy events, but then finding parallel memories that take the narrator's mind, only to bring us back to, I got time on my hands, I'm just stripping paper. How much was gained and lost in these few stanzas, the deft use of gender in order to delineate the characters and the roles they play is simply brilliant. To my way of thinking, framing this from a writer's point of view, of course the wallpaper is a metaphor for old notebooks with scribbled lines and ideas. That's why I mentioned shatterproof as a historical reference point for stripping paper. Somewhere around 1983, these lines were written. I see those newlyweds, their eyes wide open and believing. They bill and coo at the mention of Chez Nous. Appearances can be deceiving. Where once there was distancing language, a story told in the first person about unnamed newlyweds in Shatterproof is again told in the first person in Stripping Paper, yet it is from the point of view of the protagonist who serves as more than observer. Whether this observer is reliable or unreliable, however, is up for interpretation. What I greatly admire about this, aside from the elegant storytelling and its well-placed allusions, is the ability to revisit the notion of how appearances can be deceiving and how a supposition about the future is ultimately proved inaccurate at best. Again, from Shatterproof. It's just a door and a window, 4 walls and a roof, but a home of your own would be shatterproof. Stripping Paper brings the same sort of peculiar optimism that Shatterproof does, but tells the story through the weary eye of experience. The notion that a home will keep you and your loved ones safe is heartbreaking in its assumptions. Dig it. Again, this has been a slow drag with Stripping Paper from 2018's Look Now. There is something so appealing about having our hearts broken. And there's something even more heartbreaking about how we continue to break them upon reflection and then mend them upon distraction. If we must be saddled with these memories, then at least something pleasant should always come out of them. Stripping Paper takes the listener into the past, confesses the joy and the misgivings, and then adds more detail to an already unflinching portrayal of the million stages of love and desire. Thank you so much for finding this appreciation, this exploration of linguistics, of language and masterful poetry, all framed by the peerless poetry of the modern-day master, Elvis Costello. Please check the show notes for links to the actual songs, both Stripping Paper and Shatterproof, as well as links to references made in this episode about the Rococo style and the origins of slow gin. There is also a companion blog with a transcript and other helpful resources for your convenience. Please get in contact with comments, suggestions, or interpretations of your own. I'd love to hear them. And if you like this appreciation, which I hope you do, please subscribe, give us a good rating and a review, and share with other language lovers. It's important to support independent podcasts. Thank you. So, until next time, adieu, my little ballyhoo. Slow drag